What could be more exciting than a free-to-play, sci-fi shooter where you fight to take over planets in the name of player-run space corporations? As it turns out, quite a lot. Dust 514 is easily one of the most ambitious shooters of this generation, but its poor shooting mechanics, bland art design, and a lack of real connection to the larger universe you're fighting for turns it into more of a test of patience than a rewarding test of multiplayer skills. 16-on-16 battles waged by infantry, tanks, and dropships should look and feel exciting, but even though Dust is a full-scale futuristic war where the outcome will have a lasting effect on a persistent universe, it falls flat. It's all just presented in such a lackluster way. The dystopia by the numbers art design and muted colors do little to acquit it, aside from some aggressive daytime lighting. Low-resolution textures and a choppy frame rate leave it sorely lacking in terms of character and performance. The maps are laid out well enough for combat, with some great verticality at times, but the limited detail and small variety of environments keeps it from truly feeling like you're planet hopping for glory and profit. And those lasting effects? They're mostly for players of EVE Online, not Dust. Outside of combat, things run a little better. There's an overwhelming amount of stuff going on. Complex skill trees, a detailed star map, and a marketplace for upgrades, but an excellent central menu keeps everything straight. Once you deploy, Dust 514's action most closely resembles the Battlefield series, where mixed groups of infantry, armor, and air forces work to take and hold objectives until the other team runs out of tickets. But Battlefield succeeds because it makes it fun both on foot and in a war machine, while Dust struggles to even make something as simple as shooting a gun feel right. Now, I don't claim to be an expert marksman, but I had more trouble keeping my sights on target in Dust than in any shooter in recent memory. Part of this is due to the mushy aiming controls, which always felt too sluggish when I needed to turn and face an enemy, but too jumpy to track moving targets. The other major factor is server-side hit detection, which means shots that look like they should hit on my screen sometimes don't officially count. This led to sloppy, protracted firefights where an enemy and I would dance around each other far too long without scoring a kill. In a time when Call of Duty and countless other shooters have refined dual analog aiming to a science, Dust feels terribly antiquated. Dust sports an RPG caliber skill system and a persistent link to the EVE Online universe to lend it additional scope and depth. But unfortunately, the former goes a bit too far, while the latter doesn't go quite far enough. Sure, there's a ton of gear to choose from. I play with everything from a light, close-quarters combat scout to a lumbering, forge-gun-wielding behemoth. But the possibilities aren't the only thing that's endless. There's also the grind. And unless you shell out real money for items with lowered or removed skill requirements, you'll be waiting far too long to start truly mining the system's depth. It's less pay to win and more pay to see all the cool stuff you're not going to be doing for a while. Where Dust 514 rings most hollow, though, is in its promised integration with EVE Online, CCP's hardcore, massively multiplayer RPG. I got to try out the factional warfare and planetary conquest modes, and though fighting on the side of a highly organized space-based corporation adds a lot of big-picture strategic depth, these clashes seem to do a lot more for EVE players than for the Dust players who lay down their virtual lives and, by association, their real money. In fact, the only people who see any tangible gains are the well-established EVE corporations. And since there's currently no way for them to directly reward Dust players for helping defend their turf, it's a raw deal unless you also play EVE. Dust 514 truly aims high, but such ambition is in vain if you don't have a solid foundation, and Dust's crumbles almost from the get-go. Its second-rate visuals and wonky shooting and driving mechanics make it numbing to play despite its off-battlefield depth, and its persistent elements will be completely lost on anyone who doesn't already have a foot down in the EVE universe. The ideas behind it are clearly strong, but so is the disappointment when they don't work out as expected. For more on Dust 514, keep it here on IGN.